Hi, this is Steve with Universal Devices. Quite often in tech support, we get asked for ways that you can use the ISY as a tech support tool for troubleshooting. And quite often when I log into a customer's computer, I will open up the event viewer because I like to watch what's happening when I'm trying to do something. Like somebody calls and says, hey, I'm having trouble adding a device. Can't seem to add it. I keep getting an error message. Can't determine Insteon engine or something like that. So what I'll do is I'll open up the event viewer. Now the event viewer can be found with this little icon on every ISY. If you happen to have an older one, you might need to go to Tools and then Diagnostics and then Event Viewer, but either way you can get to it that way. Set your event viewer to level 3 and then clear it out. I'm going to show you a simple example, and this can be used kind of across the board. So the first thing I want to know, is my ISY working? Where do I point the finger at and what's the problem? I'm just going to query a simple device and say, you know what? Here's the information I got back from a query. So the first thing is INSTTX. This means the ISY is working. And the ISY sent a transmit over the serial bus to the PLM. The next line is the PLM acknowledging that request and saying, oh, you want me to go and query a device. Okay, I'm acknowledging it and I just sent the command. Now I'm kind of paraphrasing this to make it easier to understand, but it's basically what's happening. Next line is INSTSRX. That's a device responding back saying, yep, I got it. I understand you guys want some information from me. And then a standard direct acknowledgement is the device coming back saying, here's the information that was requested. And in this case, it's sending the status, the on level, and the ramp rate. So based on these numbers, like 255 is 100%. 0 would be off, and numbers in between that are going to be various levels of on level. And ramp rate is also a number range and status. So status shows what it currently is at. Now this isn't important for the diagnostic standpoint so much. It's really the first 4 lines that we're looking at. So how do I use it? How do I say, okay, that's great, I see all of this, but what happens if I just get INSTTX and nothing else? And then what's going to happen is the ISY is then going to transmit again. You'll get another line. Instead of this ACK, you'll see INSTTX again, and then one more time. It'll be considered to fail. You'll get a red exclamation point next to your device here. And what really happened is your ACK isn't happening, which means your PLM is disconnected. So what you can do is take a look on this PLM, look on the side of it. Do you have a light that's on? If you don't, good chance it might be bad. If you do have a light that is on the side, then try to power cycle and unplug, plug back in your PLM, check the Cat5 cable going to it. Maybe you even need to change the cable. I've seen that happen where just the cable went bad, and changing it seemed to solve the problem. But anytime you make those physical changes or alterations to the PLM, always follow it up with power cycling the ISY. Now you can go back in once you've booted back up, and you can go in and run this test again. Also, if your ISY is in safe mode, good chance you're not going to get an INST ACK. So we've got the first 2 things. Now the third thing is the device responding back. A lot of times what will happen, somebody tries to add a device and they're not getting the INSTSRX. The device isn't even responding back. It could be because it's on the opposite phase. It could be because of noise on the power line. Typically what I'll do at this point is I might go turn a couple of breakers off in a panel. Like let's say you had a problem device, you know it's powered up and it had been working, but now you're not getting the INSTSRX, meaning the response back from the device. I might go in the breaker panel and turn off a couple of breakers and then try to query again. And sure enough, you'll get to a breaker that you'll turn off. And keep in mind, after you've tested it, if you don't get a positive result, turn those breakers on and go to the next breaker. But eventually you get to a breaker where you've turned off something that was creating the noise that was preventing you from being able to talk to the device. And you'll all of a sudden start getting the response. So that'll at least narrow it down to the breaker that has the problem. So that's if we're looking for noise on the power line. Now we're going to go finally here to standard direct acknowledgement. And keep in mind, I'm just kind of paraphrasing what all of these are. But after we go through in the ISY transmit, the PLM acknowledges, the device responds back, and then it says, hey, here's that information you requested. Now, you're going to get this in quite a few things, but also if you're querying a device. And it sends back the standard direct acknowledgement. If you ever get a NAC right here, a NACK, then that tells me a couple of things. There's either a problem with communication to the device, a problem with the device, maybe a database issue. I find sometimes factory resetting the device and then restoring it can solve that. I'm going to go ahead and clear out the event viewer and show you that it's not just querying of a device. What if I do a restore of the device? And you see I get the same sort of thing, transmit acknowledgement, SRX. It just keeps going over and again. Now I do get some other things. See these group messages that are popping up in there? Group messages mean that that device is in some scenes, and it's rewriting all of those scenes. Now, you can parse this out. And let's say I just want to look at level 1. I'm going to clear out the event viewer. And now, if I try to restore the device, you're not going to see all that traffic. It's basically going to tell me, all right, it wrote link 1, which is the first link into the PLM, group 1, or group 0, sorry. Then the first link in group, second link, third link to the device. Now, the high watermark, whenever you're reading this, high watermark is basically a line in the sand that just says, hey, nothing to see beyond here, folks. So when the ISY is going to go in and write to the database, it can look at the high watermark and say, which is all zeros, then says, hey, there's nothing beyond this point. And it doesn't have to then read the whole database out to determine where the last part is to write to. So it's very easy now to identify where it would write. But you can see by using these various levels of the event viewer, you can parse it out to see just the traffic you're looking for. Sometimes I'll put it on level 1 when I'm doing a full PLM restore. That way I'm only looking just for links and groups and to see that's the information I want. I don't have to then watch that constant flow of information because it's really links and groups is what I'm looking for. Anyhow, hopefully this helped, and I just wanted to pass on a little tip of how to use the event viewer. Keep looking on our wiki page for other videos and little troubleshooting tips that we might add from time to time. Thanks for checking in.